Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that provides us, and what we hope it gives you, and what we hope we're able to fellowship on. We're on episode 71 today, and I feel like we have a lot of progress to share with you guys this week.
There is a lot of progress.
So,
and I love what you got done. But I'm going to start with Little Man's project. I have put rickrack and buttons, and instead of 2 earrings on Olivia's, I switched one out to put on Caniel's. So, because I want them to know that he doesn't have to know it's an earring, but there's a heart. It's a heart.
It's fine.
But there's the rickrack, top and bottom, and we discussed it, Sarah and I think I'm going to be putting it along both sides as well, so that it's a frame around the whole thing.
It's a track.
Yeah, a track. And then we've got a nice big green button and a nice great big black button.
They look like either hubcaps or steering
wheels.
wheels.
Or tires, like this one looks like a tire. And I've got one button down here in the circles, and this one was kind of clever, I thought. The white one to go with the whole headlight, and it's like a blue and red one that goes for the broken headlight. So I just was having fun with buttons on this. And then his little earring is right here. So yeah, I think I'm just about done with this one, except for the rickrack. And Sarah was saying she thought this one was going along a lot faster, and I think we decided it was just because each of these little panels was its own thing, its own little theme, and it really didn't need much to make it look good.
Like, the only thing I suggest that if you wanted to, like, accent is if you wanted to use, like, neon thread to make these, like...
Oh, yeah, to stand out a little.
Yeah, like the neon...
Yeah, I could do that.
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
There's no requirement, but, like, there are things that even on his car where, like, you could, like, just do
outline it a little bit better.
Outline it if you wanted to.
Right.
So I feel like that wouldn't hurt anything.
Right. So, yeah. So that's his project, Caniel's. And I think that's turning out pretty good. Mm-hmm. I was able to get another blanket done, and this is heavy. I remember back when I was doing them, I was doing these blankets like one every week almost, and then or at least one every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was like a week and a half rotation at most. Otherwise, it was like a week rotation.
Yeah, and it's my signature one where it's the half double crochet with two strands of 4-weight yarn, right? So, but this one is the homespun, and I didn't have enough of the yarn to continue. I only was able to get halfway through. And so when I went to the thrift store this last time, I found some more of the homespun, and I had more of the white already here. I always pick up white whenever I see it because I know that I'm going to use it, and as my second color. And so...
Is this what you were doing when you were going to Joann's?
When I went to Joann's?
Yeah, and you helped me pick out that red and the puffy.
I was looking...
What were you there for?
I was looking at the beads.
Oh, okay, never mind.
And so that's coming up next. So
sorry.
But so I have just all different varying colors.
Things are falling.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But it's it's just a variation of all these different colors that have gone all the way through, and I was able to finish it. And I thought I still needed some, and so I finished like half a line of this blue, and realized when I got up, I kind of measured against myself. I usually have it come up to like here, and and when I measured it, it was over my head. So I'm just like, well, this is done. I can take that half line out, and it'll be a finished blanket. And so I'm really happy to say that it's done, and it turned out really nice. My friend Jane came over yesterday and to pick up some fabric that I had for her, and she really enjoyed looking at it. She's like, it was sitting on the table waiting for our video to start, and she's like, oh, those colors go so well together. And I'm like, they really do, for being yarns that you get at a thrift store. So, and I'm not going to be afraid to use the homespun anymore. So, because when I can do it this way with white or something, I can find the stitches a lot easier. It's not so easy when you're just doing it by yourself, or by itself. And the third thing, I was actually at Joann's to look around at beads and stuff because I found another project. Yes, it is. I just happened to click on this YouTube video, and I ended up watching like 12 of them
in a row
because I was very interested, and like I need another thing to do, right?
No.
And but I realized that a lot of the things I already had here at home. I had the straws, I had the wire, I have some of the tools that I did order a tool yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That'll make it easier for me. But I had beads, I had fabric, but I was just kind of looking around at Joann's, and I just thought, you know, there's just some stuff that you just want to look at, you know, when you go somewhere, and you have the coupons and everything, and Sarah ended up texting me during that time, and I told her that I was at Joann's, which I don't even know why at the time that, you know, it was just like, well, oh, I know what it was. You wanted recipes for how to make the sourdough bread, and I'm like, well, I'm not home right now, but as soon as I get home from Joann's, I will do that for you. And she's like, kind of jealous, wait, and she called me. And so she's like, since you're already there, can you get me some red yarn, and oh, wait a minute, I need some of this puffy paint too. And I'm like, okay. So I'm all over the store looking for that stuff, and I know what I went there for in the first place. I went there to look for jump rings, which I needed for this project that I'm going to show you. And so I found the jump rings, got those, was looking at the beads after that.
Yeah.
And then went looking for your stuff and ended up finding beads that I ended up getting. But I went through the checkout with her stuff and the jump rings, went all the way out to my car, sat there for a minute and said, darn it, I want those beads. And I had one more coupon, went back into the store, went all the way to the back and into the kids section to find these really pretty black iridescent beads, and used my coupon, and it was the same checkout lady, and she's like, you're back so soon. And I said, I never left. I went out to my car and came right back in. And So ended up going home after I dropped the stuff off to her and started on these projects, which I'm going to show you now. So that's a whole big long story just to show you what I'm kind of making, but they're called boho beads. And I'm not doing them perfectly, but I am just having fun with it. And I have all kinds of just fabric scraps and all kinds of beads and stuff to go through, and I have these dangles from old necklaces, and I found one from an old keychain. Now this one is fun because it says rainbow on it, but
I'll get right in the center. This spells out rainbow.
So I'm just having fun. Yeah. And then this one I made the beads down there to kind of match it for the dangle. Oh, just a minute. Oh, don't do that. I made one for Christmas, kind of.
It looks like watermelon.
This one I had some extra beads and like, you know the selvage ends have the numbers with the colors on them? I used that as the middle inspiration.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then instead of wire wrapping around the fabric, I use gold thread for some of these. Made another dangle of beads for that one. Just a minute. I have that one and this one. That one's gold and this one is silver.
These are very clever, Mom. She also gave one to me.
Yeah, and I made one, I was over at my friend Jane's house and I made one for her and both of her girls, Roxanne and Crystal, in their colors. So it just fun. It doesn't take very long unless you're really struggling to figure out which beads go together, which is kind of my fun
dilemma.
Yeah. It's fun, but it's still kind of, my OCD gets wound up on that because it's just like they have to match. But then it's like I'll get some beads and it's like, no, it doesn't have to match. And then I'm struggling with myself on that. So
it's deciding whether you want to choose that bead for it being a collective hobo bead or whether you want it to be saved for something much more
right.
I don't know, dynamic to the eye.
Well, if you make, if you look, these are all symmetrical, this way and that way. And this one isn't because it's got a yellow and an orange. So sometimes I was just going and not using the same colors, and sometimes I was. And that's the fun of it. It's just like you can do whatever you want.
It's just such a perfect bowl for it.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of showboat that. I found this at a thrift store too, folks. And I think it's handmade because it's just a wooden bowl that someone hand painted. And so I've been putting my boho beads inside of it.
It looks like a...
Yeah, like a boat.
I don't know, it's just really clever.
Yeah. So
it really just looks like they're meant to be there. Like,
right?
Like imagine selling these where it's like just presented in such a, I don't know, it's just such a pleasing thing. Not that you have to, but...
Well, I'm thinking about going to the big
really?
sale at our local well, it's about an hour away from
Market.
here.
It's a big flea market.
Yes, in September with my husband, and I'm trying to get enough inventory to do that. And he's like, well, you might want to make a few things that you could show people what you could do with these. Like, you could, hang them on junk journals. You could hang them on your purse. You could hang them on, you could make them for different reasons, and keychains, or whatever. And if you made something that it would highlight what you could do with it, it might sell better. So I'm trying to think that way too. But I don't have that much time. So that's the first full weekend, and I think it's Labor Day weekend that is coming up in September, that flea market will be
Like 3 weeks.
represented in. Yeah.
Good Lord.
So I'm trying to get them done, but we'll see. And if I don't get enough done, I don't know if I'm going anyway. But I'll see. We'll keep you apprised on that. So what have you finished?
I would like to just mention before we get further that during that little spiel about her going to Joann's, I live 5 minutes away from her, and she has to pass me to go to said store. So when she had to drop it off, it was not out of her way. I wasn't trying to be, and I had cash for her to replace what she bought for me. So for any of you that want to be like, the things she does for Sarah, no.
Yes, it was on the way home.
I don't know. It just popped into my mind where I was like, wait. So what should I start with? I'll
Those.
start with these?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I mentioned last week, I have a bit of a list going in my head as to projects I have to knock off during certain times of the rest of this year because of how I have to catch up with my projects. And to maintain my whips and next projects very, very wisely with my time.
Yes.
So that they can be accomplished at the time that they need to be given. So I have been in this state of any spare time I should be using for these projects, and as I'm knocking them out, then I have more time. The earlier I knock out one, the sooner I can get started on the next one.
Yeah.
Which gives me more time for Christmas, which is my biggest load. So, and that's all up to me, right? Is that like I'm over here trying to get certain things done by like birthdays or like events.
Yeah.
But then you have Christmas where it's like, no, you have to get these done. Like there's no if, ands, or buts about it.
Yes.
And that kind of puts a different spin on it, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of trying to mentally prepare myself for that because as soon as it hits that, I'm going to feel it.
Yeah.
And if I can help from feeling that, it's going to be much more enjoyable. So I'm very grateful for the progress I've made this week because it proves I might be able to hit that narrative of I'm not going to feel the anxiety. I might be able to actually be maybe possibly about a half a month to a month ahead of time on my projects.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Because imagine if I got everything I need to get done in November done by the beginning of November.
Yeah. And then you would just be...
Boom! I'd have 2 months to finish Christmas, and that would relieve
You wouldn't be going all the way to Christmas or Christmas Eve day.
And anyone who knows me knows that that is a very huge possibility, and I might just, There's no promises guaranteed on this channel. We live on the edge of our seats.
And we are being very real with you when we say that things can, or get accomplished, or they can be drug out. Okay. And, Yep.
So, father-in-law. He's a very big... What?
Yes. Yes.
He's a very big supporter of what I do, and he loves using me as a means to be able to get presents or decorate his home for things that he enjoys. And my hand is hurting, and I don't know why.
Well,
Ow.
you could be doing a lot of crocheting all of a sudden.
No, but that would... Oh, God, you're right. I was like, wait a minute. Anyway, he's a big a supporter of what I do, and he's always asking about like different things that I can help him celebrate. Like his favorite holiday is Christmas, but he's always been like, okay, so what sort of projects would be that you know of that you would like for like Easter? What about Thanksgiving? What about Valentine's Day? Like, he's always just kind of like, I want to know things that you, because his more thing is like, you're the one actively searching these things out, so it's a little bit easier than me just bringing it up to you. But unlike the narrative of most Christmas ideas where I'm presenting them to him, because Christmas is just literally his crack cocaine.
Yeah.
He brought this one up to me, what I'm about to show you. Now, I would like to start off with this request. Okay, so it's been since I've been in the new house. But it was very relevant to the new house.
Well, this channel got started right at the end of 2020, so it had to have been last year sometime.
Okay, so
2021?
It was 2021. Yeah. He told me, it would have been 2021. He told me like a week before Easter, I found a project that I want you to complete.
Yeah.
For Easter. But he told me he didn't want it for this Easter. He just said, over the year, get this done, and I want these by next Easter. Well, life is busy, and life is complicated. And this Easter came and went with only partial of this order complete. And he didn't mention anything, partially because I think he forgot, and partially just because life is busy and he didn't, and he doesn't hold it against me. And he already knew the complications I was having with some of his other orders, so it was fine. But what he was asking for was crocheted Easter eggs. So like,
I love that one.
It's very...
Such pretty colors.
So he wanted me to use remnant yarns and make Easter eggs. Just a variety of obvious colors. And I feel like I must have mentioned these at some point in the channel. Like half yellow, half green.
Yeah.
And these have very pastel ombre colors. And I only made 5 so far. Throughout this whole entire journey, I've only made this amount. And I realized if I'm going to complete some of these need to get done items, I need to get these done as well. And they kind of just found their way back into my lap. And I was like, how am I going to complete this order? He wanted like a total of like 8, I think, which is really kind of crazy because I'm sitting there being like, that's not even a dozen. What is wrong with you? And so...
If you want to make 18, you could just put them in an egg carton.
I know, but I want to crochet the egg carton, and that's the problem.
Oh, okay.
Well, look at the size of that egg. You think these fat little chunkers are going to fit in an egg carton?
If you get a very large one, maybe.
No. Even large eggs aren't this large. Like, I'm intentionally...
These are like goose eggs.
I know. Anyway, he'll like them. So, I was sitting there and I found these, and I was looking through my stash for something else when I found these. I was like, oh, I need to get these done. And so I kind of like set them aside while I'm continuously looking through my stash for what I was trying to find. And I found this yarn. Again, not what I was looking for, which was infuriating, but it was like, ooh, wait a minute. And I found all these baby yarns that had like the greens and pinks and whites in them. And like a whole bunch of this one, which is again the green and pinks and purples and whites, which great, fantastic. But then I found these really, really nice pastel pinks. I found these same sort of ombres that I was just showing you, but in like with blues and greens in them. Again, more Barnett. This is Barnett baby yarn. I found this fuzzy yarn that has almost like neon yellow and green, which of course we support on this channel. And so I was just like, all this baby yarn I didn't even know I had that has these pastel colors, and you can see them.
Very Eastery.
And I was like, what would I ever use these for? And then I looked back at the eggs and I was like, I can finish the Easter egg order with these remnant yarns, even like this green and just these.
Ooh, that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like the blue and green and like these random ombres. His biggest thing was that he really wanted me to use scrap yarns. Like that was his biggest thing, is he's like, and like this one where it's like you can see that there was like a bit of an ombre to like pink. What I did was I literally cut strips and strips and strips and strips of both of these yarns. Like these yarns were whole little balls like these, and I cut like arm width cut, and I made my own hobo yarn ball like that, because I thought that's what he would want. Well, the egg ended up turning out, because of the shape, turning out to be one side solid pink and one side of that color. And I was like, well, that just defeated the purpose.
But I think he'll love it.
But he's still going to like it, because when I showed it to him, he's like, this is it. These are what I wanted. And so I'm just going to surprise him, because I really don't think he remembers. So I'm just going to get it done, because I do, and it's going to bother me, because I'm not going to use these, because they're not mine.
You're right. Right?
I just know that I've already made a purple one, and all these match the ones I've already made, so I need to make sure I have some purple yarn too, which, oh, I do.
Yeah.
I remember finding purple yarn, but I was so hyper about all these like obvious Easter colors. But yeah, I will just, probably by next week this order will be done. In some capacity, I will have all the eggs done is my goal. And then I will move on to the next thing. But what you guys are probably wondering is, if you watched last week's episode, I was making panels for the Santa hat countdown to Christmas pillow that I told you that I was remaking from his last order back last year in August, that I did complete, send to him, and it never made it, along with the chair Santa hat decorations that I made and never got there. But guess what? I'm going to be doing those too. Eventually, when my husband goes down to Florida and he shoves this pillow in his father's face and says, hey, you don't get to take it away, Sarah got it done, deal with it. So, well,
right?
I'm just saying, his father was very nice and gracious about the fact that he spent $200 and on over $200 actually on completing this order, and then never getting anything out of it. Which, granted, I completed the order. The proof is in the videos, even in all my receipts and all the calls I made. They're just not there, and the only way I can make up for it is to complete the order again, which he didn't want me to do, but too bad. So I did. So last week you only saw panels, and I had already messed up flipping the decorative sides around, but
he's done.
He's done. Because like I said, I've been a maniac, and every single time I have time down.
And this is the red yarn I had to find at Joann's, and this is the puppy paint that I had to find.
So the countdown that they that the pattern called for was 1, 2, 24th, so Christmas would be the day that the candy cane is done. Candy cane can go in the hood if you wanted it to, and you can tuck the tail in if
That is so cool.
if you don't want it. But this is just a candy cane made out of, obviously, me making going back from red to white with some pipe cleaner
Right.
in there, and yeah, there's just obviously I made it where obviously all the numbers is a pocket, and so as you count down, and yeah, this thing it felt like a trip down memory lane, to be honest, because I'm sitting there being like, I've made this before, but for some reason making it this time was very enjoyable despite the frustration of losing the other one. It was
Right.
like it didn't feel like a nuisance.
Right.
It was an enjoyment to be able to complete this project, and
It's so cute.
I don't know, like, this one feels like it turned out better. Like
I think so too.
Like, when I think back, I was so frustrated at the fact that like this row was way much down, because in the photo of the completed work, you can tell that the pillow, compared to the one I made, has a longer beard. So they're spaced out evenly and much more forward. But the pillow that they represent for you to make does not have those dimensions. But because of the little bumps for his beard that are around the whole entire pillow, there has to be a specific spacing to be able to get that done.
Right.
And so I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that.
And when you stuff something, it forms
A shape.
Yeah.
It becomes thicker, and so what becomes what is originally 2-dimensional becomes 3D.
Yeah.
And I had to accept my failure on that last year, which, granted, I don't think it was necessarily a failure. It was more of the pattern not really properly. Like, it did explain that the bottom panel should be the first one that you, like, rate yourself by, like, have it be the highest up and then just go from there in spacing.
Right.
But when you're thinking about this honkin' mustache,
Yeah.
you have to think about how is that going to fit on the face
Right.
for this to be able to get in there, which, granted, it's a bit tight, but, like, I accepted that this year. I was like, you know what?
It works.
It will still work. The candy cane will still get into these pockets, even if they have to, like, just pry it open and stuff it in. It still is functional.
Right.
It's still a functional pillow, even if it's not.
And I love his eyes.
His eyes?
Yeah.
So I went to Joann's, and these are, I don't know what the pattern actually recommended, but I do have the measurements for these eyes. I want to say they are an 18mm eye.
They are just gorgeous. I love that.
I kept the little, I bought 3 different forms of safety eyes. So I got a 12mm, I got 15mm, and then I got an 18mm, which is the one that I used. And I really think that was the right choice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Luckily, when I went on Joann's.com, they had a 40% and a 50% off coupon. I was able to use at checkout. So my total for all 3 of these beads that were like, what, $3 something a piece, end up going down to $6. So I pretty much got these eyes for free.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But yeah, this pattern does, I think, go between 2 hook sizes, which I did not care about, because I don't think. I just thought, like, I know that it's really, I'm not trying to be arrogant, right? Like, that's not my intent whenever I'm reading a pattern. I just start it, like, I get so excited about it where I'm just like, just gonna do it. Yeah. I have the yarn that I've chosen, and I have the hook size for that yarn. I don't care if it does not meet the same structural standards of the yarn that they use. This is what I'm going to use. This is just this is what I use. Like, it's just my weight of yarn, so I'm not going to change that. Well, like the hat this year, because I wasn't reading the patterns so thoroughly, these stitches were tight.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because I was stressed when I was doing it. I didn't enjoy making the hat, and I don't know why. But despite this the brim of this hat supposed to have like a 10 stitch difference from what the opening of the top of his head was supposed to be.
Oh, wow.
I still had to stuff this in there because even though this had 80 stitches and this had the hat had 90, it was still too small because even though I was using the same hook and the same weight of yarn,
just had a different tension.
I had a different tension.
Wow.
And this was just tight. Like, my stitches were so tight. But, you know,
it looks good.
I really feel like the brim saved me.
Yeah.
And I just accepted it. And again, like, even with the ivy leaves, this thread that this yarn that my husband found in my stash, I was like, oh, it looks like 4-weight. It was thicker than 4-weight, but I think it was I think it might have been a 4-weight yarn, but it wasn't the same material as the yarn I was actually using, like the acrylic I'm used to. I think it was something else because it was thick. And when I used the regular 5mm hook that I'm used to using with it, it made the leaves too big. And these leaves are big.
Wow.
Like, bigger than what they were supposed to be, or I remember they were supposed to be. I was like, I'm still going to make them work, so I just I dropped a hook size. Beautiful. I dropped a hook size, and I still use the same yarn.
Yeah.
So that's the only time I actually did something where it was like, to the suggested aspect of like, some of these items should be used with different hook sizes. That's the only time I even did it, but I don't even know if that was what they were wanting me to use it on. I'm just letting you know, my Santa countdown pillow could be different than yours, just based on the fact that I wasn't caring. Well, and you should.
And intentions are always different with each individual person, so
I willfully chose to have the flap of his hat aimed down, so I kind of sewed that down just so that it was intentional. I did fill a little bit of his hat up to just gradually make this whole entire angle look right. Yeah. Like I said, I did not sew the brim to the hat, so there is a flap here where they can tuck this in if they would like to. I did not I sewed this directly to the brim, so again, it's not attached to the hat, so there's no worry about that. And I used puff paint for the first time. Here, could you hold this? Yep. I'm gonna grab that.
Yep, last time she
sewed it.
Yes.
Because I didn't look at the instructions. I kid you not.
And like, that took her time.
Oh my goodness, this was so quick. What I did was, obviously there's only 4 rows and you're going up to 6 for each. So, 4 rows is 6. There's going to be 6 pockets each. I looked up how many rows these things, these shelves, pockets were to accomplish, and I think it was like 52. Something like that. I divided it by 6, got 9. So every 9th row, I sewed a scrap piece of thread, like a basting stitch, not to the pillow, but just so that I could evenly space visually what the strips were, so I could evenly distribute this. It's a Tulip Slick Dimension Fabric Paint and the color Deep Red. And this has a very fine tip and it's very easy to use, but pretty, like I said, you're making, I think it was like 8 stitches. I think 8 or 9 stitches, and then you're just going back and forth for 52 rows to make
Right.
this strip. So like I said, doing that division, I was able to determine, okay, every 9th row or whatever it was,
Right.
I will evenly space this strip to be making 6 pockets.
Right.
And so I just, like I said, I put a little bit of a piece of thread, colored thread against the white through there, so I could see the little squares, and I just worked with that. But I made sure that when I did one, I then lined it up with all the others.
Right.
And then when I was sewing this, of course, I pinned it, but I was like, I sewed it like a box like this. And then when I had the panel laid out, I sewed and then jumped up behind there and sewed and then jumped behind and sewed. So they all are evenly looking
Yeah, that's awesome.
right where they're supposed to be. I'm trying to think of anything else I should say. My cat hair. My God, I hope this guy's not allergic to cats. Not my father-in-law, but who he's planning to give it to if he's still doing that.
You know, he may just keep it now.
He might. The eyebrows. I don't know. Like, again, I'm so used to making things that I don't feel like I read the instructions on the assembly because I just got so used to making these things.
Right.
But pretty much what they want you to do is to make, I think it was like 10 or 12 stitches, chains, and then you're making a specific pattern of an arch one way back to the slips knot that you made to start. And then they want you to round that side and go back up the bottom end of the chain. So you've just gone all the way around the foundation chain. And then you sew it together to make this. And this is actually the...
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't feel like it was fully explained because I remember last year not understanding what they wanted me to do.
Right.
And this year I finally understood what the intention was and why, and that I was just confused. So I didn't even need to make my own eyebrows last year. So like, I don't know. There was just a different relationship with Santa and I this year than it was last year. And I'm very grateful to how this is going to turn out.
Now, if you ever make it again, just know that beard has to go from the other's end.
Okay, listen. If I ever remember how this end up, I don't know. My kids have been enjoying counting with this.
Yeah.
I'm kind of nervous, right? So, like, my husband and I are planning to try sneak this into his on-flight luggage, but that luggage is smaller than this pillow. And I don't really know if he's planning on actually bringing any other luggage, so he's only planning really, really small amount of things, and I don't want this to take up too much space. And he was thinking about putting it in a vacuum seal bag and like sucking the air out. Now, I had no problem with that originally, but my problem is I don't know if that's going to hurt the paint.
Yeah.
Like if I had just sewed the numbers on, that would have been different than this. And now I feel like it's going to hurt the integrity of the puff paint to have that air taken out.
Can he just have a grocery bag with it? Maybe that would be the best thing.
I don't know. I just don't know. So, I just figured I'd let you guys know. Like, me and my mom were actually talking about this beforehand. This pillow only took me about a week.
Yeah.
Like, maybe a week and a half, maybe. This really wasn't that hard for me, and the pattern is very descriptive, and it does explain how to do it. I'm not saying that the author did a bad job. I just didn't read it. I read how to make the items, and I assembled it myself.
Do you still have the link?
I will be able to make sure that you guys have access to it. But I really am thinking about making these regularly around this time of year, because I really feel like these are something that people might actually enjoy.
Right. Some of your friends have already saw it and mentioned that they might want one. So
yeah. I also would like to mention that last week when I had mentioned, hey, a dry erase board. Oh my goodness.
It's been such a lifesaver for her.
Well, these items, so like the mustache, or even just this monotonous back and forth for these rows, it was hard to just tally.
Yeah.
Oh, I've gotten this much done just with a little strike mark, because when you're doing these shelves, it's back and forth every 8th stitch on a regular single crochet. You're not going to want to stop your momentum for that. So what I did was on that white dry erase board, I wrote down every for this 1 to 52, and I would wipe it real quick, because that was quicker than me tallying. And at any moment, because my tallying sheet was a notebook with a pen, whereas this was quickly like wipe done, wipe done, wipe done, wipe done, wipe done, and it just was like even done. And with this mustache, I don't remember how many stitches it was. It was similar to that. I think it was like 50 something. There was so many increases and decreases to how to form this particular shape, that it was like I didn't want to mess up where I was. So to even just do it that way, where like I just look down and be like, wait a minute, I'm on row 32, look up step 32. Yeah. I was able to just know. I didn't have to count the tallies. It was 32, step 32. Okay, so if I drop what I was doing, I could come back and be like 32, okay, like, and just keep going. And it really just made the productivity of this project so much faster to just have that. I don't know if that would be of use to anybody. I'm really looking at possibly getting a little mini one that I can throw in my project bag. Yeah. And just have on travel. Right. Because it just proved to be that much more useful to me. Mm-hmm. I'm even just looking at what is considered actually the never-ending paper tablet. That is actually a tablet that that you can write on with a very special stylus pen, and there are buttons on the bottom. That one is to Google Docs, so it instantly translates what you've written and saves it. Oh wow! Take a picture and it goes into pictures. Or whatever, and it goes wherever. Or you can just hit default and it just clears, and you instantly have this page that just goes on forever, but it shuts off when you don't want it to be tampered with, but it saves your progress and turns back on. That sounds good. And a lot of grad students have been using that as their means to be able to save notes, so that they just hit go to docs and then their page is fresh again, and they can just keep going. Wow. And then when they get back to home, all their notes are already on their computer. Sounds good. And I'm thinking about investing in one of these for like patterns, because you can also pull up patterns on that where it's like there, and then you can make tallies of I've done that without compromising the original photo. Right. That's awesome. I don't know. I want to do the whole work smarter, not harder, and I really want to invest in my craft, and I know those things might be a little expensive, but over time they will have made up for it. But the thing is, make it quicker for me to get accomplished. When you are making money on this kind of stuff, you need the tools to do that. So yeah, this was a very fun project, and I hope that these tips and tricks help you. Yes. I just really found this really endearing, and I'm really happy to have gotten it done. Now we'll just have to be really quick on the scripture. Yep. Oh my goodness. So, the scripture this week is, let us think about each other and help each other to show love and do good deeds, which I think Sarah just did. Hebrews 10:24 in the Expanded Bible, EXB. So, let us think about each other, which we think about you guys all the time when we're getting ready for these YouTube shows. We're just like so grateful that you guys are watching, and that we have someone to share our stuff with. Journey with.
and help each other to show love and do good deeds. And so Sarah doing all these projects for other people when she's already done them before, and she's doing them again, is
For
just
free.
it's like it. I don't know. I wasn't putting that together until I just read this, and it was just like, you know what? She's doing it again, and she's doing it to help her father-in-law out, and that's showing love, and it's doing a good deed, and it's helping someone. And so I just thought that just kind of tied in perfectly, and I didn't even know that was going to happen, but God did. So
I don't know, just let us think about each other and help each other to show love and do good deeds. Like, it's very straightforward.
Yes.
I feel like it's just like, be intentional. Like, sometimes when we're just like think about each other, we don't think about it in the aspect of like, everyone struggles differently or has different enjoyments. So it's like, no matter which way you're going to turn on whether you're helping them or just helping them to enjoy life or helping their burdens lighten up. I think about people that like have a lot of depression, and just getting up in the morning is
Yes,
a hard thing to do, and to even just like get themselves dressed and to even eat and just to get on with the day feels like such a huge chore. And yet for someone like me, who productivity is like a goal, like I just go
yeah.
slowing down is something that's very hard for me to accomplish sometimes, because I don't like to go out and do things. I'm very much of a homebody, but at the same time I don't just sit on my butt all day. And so my husband being better at that, not calling him out for anything, but just him being able to be more able to be present in the moment, him just being like, Sarah, just sit down. Put the project down. I know you like getting your projects done when you sit, but like, just take a minute. Just relax.
Right.
And it's like one of those things where it's like, no matter what way you swing it, thinking about each other and how you can just help show people that you do care and love them and see them.
Yeah.
Just helping them out to show love and to just do good deeds just for the sake of just being like, I just want to perpetuate this. I want to be able to perpetuate the fact that, and it's not necessarily about getting it back, right? Tit for tat is a good thing, but sometimes just doing it for the sake of just wanting to. Just being
nice.
Yeah, just being like, it's a good thing. I always tell Olivia that kindness is a superpower. Just like, it's its own good thing that only you can do.
Right.
Because receiving it from you is always going to be unique in its own way.
Right.
Like, receiving a hug from my kids and their obedience or their showing love for me is a completely different thing than someone else offering that to me, because they're my kids and I receive from them differently.
Right.
And you don't even think about the power of what you represent in someone's life and how you can meet them where they're at.
Right.
In a way that it wouldn't feel the same as someone else doing it.
Yeah.
So just, again, tit for tat, you get what you receive, you reap what you sow, but not only just doing it for that reason, but just recognizing that you could be that person that scratches the itch that they haven't been able to scratch, and being able to just help them out or just be able to enjoy life a little bit more. And that's, there's nothing wrong with that. So
kindness works.
So let us think about each other and help each other to show love and do good deeds. Hebrews 10:24 EXB, or the expanded version. Bible version. Yeah. So we love you. We really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We almost every single time before we start the camera, we're like, keep it at 30 minutes. If not lower, and then we get to 50 and we're like, oh no. We're just really have been enjoying just communicating with you guys and just being able to have this moment to just talk.
Yeah.
And it always feels like we carry on, but I hope that for anybody that does enjoy watching our episodes. It doesn't bother you. We do love making them, and we
Yes.
hope that they bless you as much as they bless us.
And we thank you for all the comments and anything that you guys want to share with us. We're willing to look at that and be happy about that too.
Yes, so we love you guys, and we hope that you have the great rest of your day. And as always, we hope that you stitch your way
To mental health.